However, they saw Levi standing there like an upright spear. He had an indomitable spirit and looked inspiring. The Garrison family members looked angry. "Levi, do you not realize that danger is about to befall you?" Joseph snorted. Levi laughed and nodded his head when he saw the Garrison family looking at him. Brian and Victoria smirked. "Let's see how you are still able to keep up that smile of yours later." "That's right. Your supporter, Nuve, is nothing more than an ant." Ben and his wife could not continue watching this. As for Jack Smith and the other big shots, they were just for show. The real trump card was of course their underlings. Gosh. The Invincible 13 are here. This is the first time. When Nuve, Trey and the others saw Jack Smith and the 13 men behind him, they drew in their breaths. The Invincible 13 was the group of master experts in Northampton. For most cases, one or two of them were enough to bring things to order. All 13 had never appeared together like this before. Now that all of them had shown up, something major was about to happen. A large group of people followed behind the Invincible 13. There were hundreds of people, all dressed in black, with weapons strapped to their waists. Jack Smith had revealed his trump card. There was a gathering of 500 thugs. Not only that, Smiling Buddha, Bob and Jimmy's subordinates also appeared at once. They followed behind the Invincible 13. There were about 1,000 people in total. With such a massive scale of people present, something was definitely up. The Garrison family also did not lack resources and men. They too took out their trump card. They had spent a sum of money to hire a lot of security personnel. So there were about 500 people in total. Rick was cautious, so he had hired a group of mercenaries. Even though there were just a few dozens of them, they had the necessary weapons with extremely strong combat power. All in all, there were about 2,000 people. Nuve, Trey and the others felt fear and trepidation in the face of disaster. Their hearts were in their mouths. There are too many people. Rowan and his wife were too shocked as they witnessed such a sight. There were too many people after all. Seeing the mass of people behind him, Jack Smith commented, "Mr. Garrison, you are making a big fuss. Just 10% of them will do." Joseph laughed in embarrassment. "Sorry. I am quite cautious in my dealings because I want to avoid the possibility of making mistakes." "All right, then. Today, Jack Smith, will give you a bit more power." Jack Smith waved his hand. Nearly 2,000 people surrounded the cemetery, stood guard and kept watch on all 3 levels of it. Not even a bird could get in. They looked like they had the intent to kill as they gripped tightly on the weapons around their waists. At the sound of a command, they would rush out and slash intruders into pieces. Jack Smith stepped forward and sneered. "Nuve and others, are you not going to kneel down already? Yeah. You guys do have some guts to think of competing with us with that little bit of capability of yours." Bob, Smiling Buddha and the others laughed grimly. Nuve and Trey were boiling with rage when they saw Jack Smith mocking them. "King of Northampton, you are right in saying that we have always respected you. But it is impossible for us to do so today. Seems like all of you want to protect Levi with your lives? What benefits have you gained from him, I wonder? All of you are willing to be his slaves." Jack Smith teased. Nuve snorted, "Jack Smith, you will never understand who you are facing today." Ha 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 ha. After hearing what he said, the rest laughed out loud. Isn't he just another piece of trash that has been released from prison? Ha 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 ha. Nuve and Trey sneered this time round. It made Jack Smith feel strange. His status and identity are what all of you desire and aim for. After Nuve said this, everyone began mocking him again. No one could believe that a person who had just been released from prison would actually be someone so powerful and admirable. Rick, who was more prudent, digested New's words properly to figure out what he meant. It seemed like Levi had a bit of power and status now. He could be because he had met a benefactor in prison. But so what? No matter how brilliant he was of no match to Jack Smith. Also, he could not deal with so many groups working together. No matter what, Levi only had one way out, and that was death. Levi waved his hand. Nuv and Trey kept their mouths shut and stood at a corner obediently. Levi looked carefully at Jack Smith and the others, then laughed and said, "Jack Smith? Impudent brat. Do you think a bastard like you have the right to address the king of Northampton this way?" Joseph shot angrily. "That's right, such a piece of trash like you does not even have the right to talk to the king of Northampton." Ben stared furiously at Levi. Levi curled his lips into a smile. "Joseph, the Garrison family's connections and strength are incredible. You are stronger than I thought." The Garrison family was capable to summon such a huge army. It was enough to prove that they were a rich and powerful family in Northampton. "Ha ha ha. Do you now know our strength? Kneel down now, if you want us to spare your life." Brian and Victoria laughed. Levi faced the bunch of clowns and sneered, "I have given you a whole month to think about this. Haven't you actually considered why I have so much confidence?" After listening to Levi, the Garrison family was shocked. Brian quickly regained his senses and shot back immediately, "Humph, isn't Nuv the source of your confidence? Do you think we are stupid? We have checked thoroughly. Nuv and you were in prison together, and that was where you met him." Upon listening to Brian's words, Levi laughed aloud. "Ha ha ha. Seems like Ashton is not awake yet. He will tell you everything once he wakes up." At the mention of Ashton, Jacob went insane and exclaimed angrily, "I will definitely not let you off today, Levi. You turned my son into a vegetable. I will kill you today." Levi could not be bothered with Jacob's crazy antics. He looked at Rick and said, "My favorite third uncle who treats me the best, have you not given any thought about why and how we have come to this?" At this moment, Rick's facial expression changed. He had indeed felt that Levi was not behaving like usual this month. But he could not pinpoint why or how. Everything looked reasonable on the surface, but it also seemed unreasonable at the same time. Rick felt that something was amiss after hearing Levi saying such a thing. Levi was an intelligent man. Didn't he know that even with Nuv's ability and support, he would not be able to shake up the Garrison family? If so, then why would he want to challenge them? Even with so many big shots from Northampton present, why did that not affect Levi? That meant that he had enough resources and strength to counter the Garrison family. He swept his gaze past Levi and caught sight of the 5 men behind him. Azure Dragon was amongst them. Rick felt that the 5 of them looked very unusual. They seemed to possess special powers and had a unique aura. What was more, they looked indifferent, as if the presence of 2,000 people did not matter at all. Doesn't that person look a bit familiar? The person in front of him, Azure Dragon, looked a bit familiar, but Rick could not remember where he had seen him. Are these 5 people Levi's hidden trump card? Ben did not think so much. He stared at Levi and smirked, "You brat, are you not going to greet your parents now that they are here?" Levi's adoptive mother, Winnie, looked at Levi in disdain. "If I knew that you were going to betray us, I wouldn't have picked you up from the streets. I should have let wild dogs attack you and leave you to die. A bastard like you shouldn't be allowed to survive." Upon receiving his adoptive parents' harsh remarks, Levi took a deep breath. If not for the fact that they had adopted him, these few sentences were enough for him to chop their heads off. He was bitterly hurt. His adoptive parents actually treated him like this. I really hate this. This is the most heartbreaking thing in my life. Ben's words pierced Levi's heart. Honestly speaking, we never think of you as our son. You are merely our tool. Levi's adoptive mother, Winnie, added, That's right. We only had one motive when we adopted you last time. You would take up another place in our family, and so we can receive an extra share of the Garrison family's inheritance. That's it. Otherwise, do you think we will raise a bastard like you? The Garrison family spoke in unison. Yes, our family has valuable connections. Do you think you are good enough to be in this family? You are merely a wild dog with impure blood in you. You are not worthy to be part of the Garrison family. Victoria was still unable to see the truth, so she stared at Levi. Levi, are you still thinking of overthrowing the Garrison family? Stop dreaming. It's not enough just because you have got Nuve on your side. He is merely an insignificant ant. Levi then broke into a laugh again. I have already given you all a month to think about it. Why are all of you still behaving like foolish pigs? Do you really think my supporter is Nuve? Do you think he dares even if I lend my courage to him? Levi raised his voice. No, Mr. Garrison. Nuve and the others fell to their knees in utter shock. At this point in time, everyone at the scene saw that Nuve was fearful of Levi. He has another hidden trump card that we do not know about. Rick thought about it and a scary thought flashed past his mind. Levi looked at Holly and laughed. Now that you are in front of his grave, don't you feel a bit of remorse? Don't you think that Morris is looking down at you from up above? To be honest, Holly was feeling a bit remorseful. However, she lifted her head and said arrogantly, it's better that he is dead. If he were still alive, would I be able to live so comfortably now? He should be glad that he was able to be of value to his goddess as a substitute. Levi smiled. So you don't feel the need to repent at all? Of course. Levi then looked at the Garrison family members again. Do all of you not feel an ounce of remorse too? You are a bastard, and that is another bastard who is dead. What is there for us to repent? The Garrison family kept labeling them as bastards. Rowan and his wife were in tears. Their son died a terrible death, and yet he was cursed and labeled a bastard. Who could withstand such injustice? Joseph was furious and exclaimed in anger, King of Northampton. May I trouble you to take action? I cannot watch this any further. Jack Smith nodded his head. All right, as you wish. I do not want to see them still standing. Jack Smith commanded for everyone to charge ahead. The room. At this point in time, a revving sound came from outside. Everyone turned their heads to look in the direction of the cars arriving. The most frightening thing was the sight of a police car in the middle of those cars. The thugs stopped temporarily and looked behind. Jack Smith smiled after taking a glance. Mr. Garrison, you really impress me. Are there more people coming? Is there even a police car? This is really impressive. However, Joseph, Rick and the rest of the Garrison family were dumbfounded. They stood there, at a loss. The Garrison family had exhausted all their resources, and all their connections were already present at the scene. Why are there more people coming? Joseph questioned immediately. Jack Smith, didn't you invite these people? Jack Smith laughed. You are kidding, Mr. Garrison. All those who I have invited are already here. That's right. All our connections are here already. Bob, Smiling Buddha, and the others responded. That is strange. Who are these people? This is bad. As soon as they realized something, they turned towards Levi. He is so calm. He must have invited these people here. Very soon, these cars stopped outside. A few people alighted from the police car. Captain of Patrol Squad Xavier Fields, Deputy Captain Derek King, and Captain of Criminal Investigation Team Alex Williamson. Jack Smith was very familiar with the people in the police department. He called their names out one by one. After listening to their names, everyone was struck. The Garrison family, in particular, was shocked to see the presence of the police. Ben grew extremely pale and was frightened. Brian and Victoria were trembling in fear. At this moment, some more people alighted from the other cars. At the sight of all these people, Jack Smith, Bob and the others felt intimidated. Oh my God! Leader Mr. Jesse Nielsen, Deputy Leader Zenith Fuller, Uptown District Leader Draco Simmons, First Secretary Cedric Jones, and Commander of the Ministry of Construction and the Ministry of Land. Jack Smith was very familiar with these leaders from Northampton. He mentioned all of their names. He was going berserk at this moment. Why are they here? Even though Jack Smith was known as the King of Northampton, it was merely a nickname. There were many people who were above him in terms of rank and status in Northampton. He was extremely fearful of all these people before him. If all of them were to put in a bad word about him, he would cease to exist. Not only was Jack Smith afraid of their presence, but Bob and Smiling Buddha were also fearful. These people were their enemies. Although the Garrison family was different from them, they were also afraid of the presence of these big shots. They were more fearful of the purpose of these people's arrival. Why are they here? Rick was very quick to notice that Jesse, Xavier and the others had donned black suits with a white flower pinned to their chests. It was apparent that they were here to pay their respects to Morris. His head was about to explode at this moment. Rick tried to reassess Levi again. Just who exactly is he? Even these big shots are here to pay their respects to Morris. Jesse and the others walked over. Xavier furrowed his eyebrows and yelled, "Make way!" The thugs were shocked by Xavier and carved out a path for him to walk through. They were drenched in perspiration as they looked on at Xavier and the others walking past. Jack Smith, Joseph and the others stood on the other side of the path, waiting anxiously. At the sight of Jesse and the others, they went over to welcome and greet him. Xavier yelled coldly, "Scram! Don't block the way." Jack Smith and the others were shocked and stood aside, not daring to move. Jack Smith took out his handkerchief to wipe away the perspiration on his forehead. Joseph was so frightened that his blood pressure rose and he almost fainted. Everyone could only stare as Jesse and the others walked towards the grave. When they arrived in front of the grave, everyone simply nodded their heads to Levi and paid their respects to Morris. Then, they walked towards Rowan and his wife to offer their condolences. Rowan used to work in the department, so he knew who these people were. He cried tears of joy and lifted his head, smiling, "Morris, can you see this? Your leaders are here to pay their respects to you." The elderly couple started crying. Dozens of big shots from Northampton paid their respects to Morris, one at a time. Jack Smith was disappointed as he witnessed this scene. They all seemed to have fallen into an icy cold cavern. Gradually, they understood why Nuve and Trey would sacrifice their lives for Levi. Jack Smith now understood why Francis Hicks did not want to come, and even warned him not to. Francis Hicks knew about this. "We cannot get involved in this matter." Holly, Kit and Misty saw the top leaders of Northampton paying their respects to Morris. They had mixed emotions in their hearts. After all, they did not know what was in store for them. Joseph's legs could not stop shaking. He was speechless. Jacob too had no intention of seeking revenge anymore. Rick was extremely confused. Ben was too shocked to say anything. Winnie stared at Levi in disbelief. She did not expect this. Brian, Victoria and the others were all flabbergasted. What is Levi's actual identity? Why are all the leaders here? Even those with strong connections could never bring all these people together. A million doubts and questions filled their heads. My condolences, Mr. Atkinson. After these big shots from Northampton paid their respects, they left without staying any longer. They also did not look at Jack Smith or anyone else. This made the others present very confused. What is happening here? Ben laughed all of a sudden. I get it now. Mr. Nielsen and the others came here to pay respects to Morris out of respect for Rowan and his wife. They used to work under old leaders in the department after all. That's right. After knowing that Levi has caused such a big commotion, it is only natural for them to come here and pay their respects. Joseph said immediately. Brian also thought it through. If Mr. Nielsen and the others are Levi's supporters, why did they not come and attack us, but left immediately instead? That's right, that must be it. Jack Smith also agreed. So, as long as we do not hurt Rowan's family and touch Morris' grave, we will be okay. As for the other people, we can do whatever we want to them. Jacob's eyes had a murderous look in them. He had wanted to kill and get rid of Levi a long time ago. Yes. I need to make sure that Levi kneels in front of me today. Joseph shook his walking stick. The thugs recovered from the shock they experienced earlier and looked fiercely at Levi once more. At this moment, Levi waved his hand to summon Azure Dragon and the rest to his side. Tell them that we are going to act. Levi commanded. Understood. Azure Dragon nodded his head. After that, he took out a walkie-talkie and commanded, act now. Levi saw the Garrison family members staring blankly at him. He smiled and said, I am sorry for the delay and thank you for waiting. The real dish is about to be served. Brian exclaimed, Levi, what tricks do you have up your sleeve again? Whoosh. Just when Brian stopped talking, a signal flare was launched in all directions. Bang. Everyone was at a loss as they saw the signal flare exploding in the sky.